Welcome back, guys, to Hear Me Out Podcast. Your boy Dro, joined as always by my good brother, the Towson graduate,
Yes,
CT in the building. How's it going, man? How's it feel to be done with college, bro?
Man, I got a sense of relief and happiness and just a lot of emotions running through my mind right now, man. I'm grateful.
Yeah, man. Before we even start this video, I need everybody watching this video drop a comment below. Congratulate Frankie J and BT on graduating college. No small feat. Drop a comment down below. Show some love. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I don't have my other.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Snap,
Yes, sir.
snap. Can't snap.
Today we will be talking about it's like a hangover of The Last Dance. You know, we're all deprived of Michael Jordan on Sunday nights now. The documentary ended last night, and Horace Grant came out with some very interesting and very feisty comments. Now, I'm going to have to pull it up because I'm not trying to misquote the guy. But Horace Grant, for those that don't know, was an old teammate of Michael Jordan's for the first three-peat. And then he ended up going to Orlando and was part of that Orlando team that knocked him off when he came back out of retirement.
45 is not 23.
Yeah. He said that, right?
No, that was Nick Anderson.
Nick Anderson said that. Gotcha.
The man who bricked free throws and was never the same.
Yeah, man, the Magic were really choke city. They were choke city. But I'm going to go ahead and read you the headline here. So the headline here for Nick Friedel, if I said his name right. The headline is Horace Grant says Michael Jordan lied in Last Dance and calls him a snitch. Hold on.
Them's his fighting words.
All right, yeah. So he called him a snitch and a liar. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. Horace Grant, the old teammate, was Michael Jordan, super competitive. The one time in the 90s that he got knocked out of the playoffs belonged to a former teammate, so it must have stung, right? And as we see when this documentary comes out, it's really, of course, going to make Michael Jordan look good. So Horace Grant, I think he was wrong there to address that part. But let's get into it. The article reads, former Chicago Bulls forward Horace Grant has fired back at claims Michael Jordan made about him during Last Dance documentary series on ESPN. In a radio interview with Cap and Co. on ESPN 1000 in Chicago on Tuesday, Grant said it was a outright, complete lie that he leaked much of the information in Sam Smith's famous The Jordan Rules book. So the Jordan Rules, you want to explain what the Jordan Rules are, Brooks?
Man, it was basically, it was a book in 91-92 when they won that first title, I believe. Sam Smith, he was an investigative reporter at the Chicago Tribune, and he wrote this book about the Bulls, and apparently or allegedly a source of his was Horace Grant. He also had, I think, Phil Jackson and Jerry Krause in there, and understandably the book made some people upset, and especially Jordan. I have the book in the house somewhere. I remember reading it, but it was a really good book.
So, the Pistons, right, were the team to knock out Michael Jordan 3 times, and they created the Jordan Rules, right, where it's like every time he gets in the paint, he gets punished, like he gets tackled midair, and those guys were all like, a lot of them were way bigger, like Dennis Rodman was bigger than Mike, Bill Laimbeer. Freaking
Warren, all of them. Joe Dumars.
They were bigger than Mike, so they were just smashing him every single time until they finally got over the hump, swept him, and they walked off without shaking hands, right?
Yep.
Michael Jordan, and as I love Michael Jordan, right? But this documentary did not make me see him as a bad or good person. For me, I went into that knowing exactly what he is. He's not a cool guy. Like, off the floor, maybe media, yes, but, if you meet him in person, from stories that I hear a lot of people say, is like he's a really shitty guy, right? And he's done things that you can look at and be like, why do that? Like calling out Jerry Krause at the Hall of Fame speech, holding these little petty beefs with everybody. So I knew he was a he was an asshole, right? And also, you know, sometimes there'd be some moments in there. He seems like he's capping so hard. He seems like there's some things where he knows in his heart are not true, but that's not for me to know. That's only for me to speculate, right? He's saying Horace Grant had a lot to do with this book, and Horace Grant says, no, that's a lie. MJ is just holding his grudge, and if he has a grudge, settle it with me like a man. Like a man, he said. He said, put those fists up, man. Put those
balls up. See me outside.
He said we could talk about it, or we could settle it another way. But yet and still, he goes out and puts this lie that I was the source behind the book. Sam and I have always been great friends. We're still great friends. But the sanctity of that locker room, I would never put anything personal out there. The mere fact that Sam Smith, isn't Sam Smith a singer too whole time? Sam Smith was an investigative reporter. That he had to have two sources to write a book, I guess. Why would MJ point me out? It's a grudge, I'm telling you, man. It's absolutely a grudge. So, and lastly, if you say something to him or about him, he's going to cut you off and he's going to try and destroy your character. I believe that 100%. Michael Jordan's whole thing post-retirement and even during his playing days was grow his legacy and protect it as the greatest player of all time. There's no other basketball player in history, even before Michael Jordan, that was by acclamation. And this is from NBA, like the NBA's official statement is, by acclamation, Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. David Stern protected him, helped him out. For those that don't know, when he came back for his second three-peat, the three-point line was actually shortened only for those 3 years that Mike was there, and those were the three best three-point percentage years of his career. So I say that to say I say that to say this. David Stern definitely had Mike's back, and the NBA in general was like, but Michael Jordan got what he gave though, so we can't take that away from him. He got back what he put into the game. But is he a liar and holding grudges and stuff like that? Of course, I believe that 100%. He's so petty. But is Horace Grant right for this? What do you think, Brooks? Is he right for going off like this?
I mean, you gotta defend who you are. When you have, one of the greatest players of all time, no matter who he is, trying to slander your name and all that, I think you have a right to defend yourself. And this is what 20 plus years. This is a 20 plus year old issue. So if it really bothered you like that before, then you should have said something in the moment. You know what I mean? Like this isn't what men do. This isn't what grown men should do. They should be doing this in private. I think they're both wrong here, but I think Horace Grant is right in wanting to defend who he is.
So do you think it's a valid... We talked about him being a liar, right, in Horace Grant's side. Do we think that he's a snitch, though? Because I wouldn't say that
Absolutely.
I wouldn't say he's snitching, because if the man is stating things that happened all these years ago, who is he snitching on? You know what I mean? They're talking about the cocaine in the locker room and shit like that. That's really Horace Grant held that against Mike and calling him a snitch. But
Jordan was snitching about... He dry snitched about Horace Grant allegedly making these comments to Sam Smith, and he had no reason to talk about his old teammates, snorting cocaine and all that either. Like, I mean, that was a huge part of part one. Like, people were like laughing about the fact that in the early 80s there were so many addicts in the NBA, and then of course, like 5 years later, you had Len Bias pass away from an overdose. But it's like that's common knowledge, and I don't know.
That's
maybe
just a day in the life, though, bro.
But it's just crazy, huh?
That's just a day in the life, though. I mean, as far as I see it, it's a documentary, and we're trying to get like the juicy details, right? So Michael Jordan being a storyteller in this documentary, right, recalling his life. Some things I believe and others that I don't. One thing that I definitely believe is that this happened. Why? Because that shit happened all the time back then. A bunch of, as you said, Len Bias passed away with the whole Celtics all doing the same. I'm sure every team did that back then. So that's normal back then. It's like the same as today. Most players smoke weed. I think we all know that.
My point is the fact that
it's just another day in the life.
It didn't have any rhyme or reason to even mention it.
Yes,
That's my
because it
main
makes
thing.
Michael Jordan look good, and the whole point of this documentary is to make him look as great as possible.
See,
Yes.
that's the reason. That's another reason why he was capping, because he's crying
Oh yeah,
about,
yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah.
people are gonna make me, are gonna think I look bad. They're not gonna understand why I did this, that, and the third. And then he's
Yeah.
talking about people snoring and being
But
addicts
that
and
was
all that.
one episode though. There was a lot more episodes showing how intense and like of an asshole he was, more so than him being this goody two shoes. That was at the beginning of his career because that's what he was. When he came out of North Carolina, like he was a very clean image, like clean, everything. The guy wasn't no even in college, you didn't hear James Worthy and them talking, oh man, he was a tyrant. That was once he became what he became in the NBA, like after his rookie year, when he started dropping like 40 a game almost in the second year or the third year after he came off the broken foot. So that grew over time, but there were certain things in there they had to throw it in there. They made him look like the good villain, you know what I mean, in that documentary. And that's to me what he was, and that's why I liked him so much, cuz to me you need that guy, like, as Tony Montana said in Scarface. You need that guy. You could point the finger and say, "Look at him. That's the bad guy." You need people like me. That's Michael Jordan, to me.
Sure, yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah, I mean, he did himself more favors by making himself be more human. But I do understand your point. Yeah, he needed to be the bad guy. Like, I was just reading something about Scottie Pippen being that guy that gave the
Pick up the
encouraging word and
teammates.
the hand on the shoulder and all that. So,
That was
you
his
know, two
brawn. That
different
was
type
his
of people.
brawn.
Yeah, LeBron. Yeah, that's LeBron now. Like, but LeBron is just as passive aggressive and as much of an asshole as Jordan was too.
That's my problem, though. I mean, that's another time for a different. That's another debate. We're gonna get too off of Horace Grant. So, what I want to say about Horace Grant is this: is that whenever you speak on Michael Jordan's name, you can say whatever you want to defend your name, but just remember the one simple thing, only one. Horace Grant is a what? 3-time champion,
Yep.
and that is thanks to Michael Jeffrey Jordan and nobody else. Oh well, Scottie Pippen, but that's thanks to Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
So watch how you speak on that man's name. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, and you know what? I'm gonna say this until the cows come home, bro. Like, to make that accusation and all that, and to, Horace Grant literally had like 5 seconds to defend himself in the documentary. So of course he's gonna say what he's got to say. Championships
Yeah.
or not, don't come for me, don't come for my image, and don't come for my name. Patreon too.
So donate to the Patreon, man, even if it's $1 a month. We appreciate everything, and it helps us create that great content for you guys on a daily basis. And now we will see y'all in the next video. Bang.